What's going on, everybody? What is going on? It is Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025, and we are back with another live here on the Torian Rain Reloaded channel, the first official live of the month. Shout out to everybody that is here so far. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you are new. And if you are new to the channel, I'm glad that you are here. Hit the bell twice to be notified whenever I upload a new video or go live. Shout out to everyone in the chat, all the members, all the mods, everybody over there on Patreon. And if you are, of course, on Patreon, you will be receiving a new Patreon exclusive video this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're going to have a very interesting stream today. We're going to talk about a couple of things, and we're also going to go into some historics surrounding this, because this is bigger than just what I'm about to show you. And we're going to go over that this evening. But before I get into all of that good stuff, let me give a shout out to those who are here now or came in earlier. We have Hacksign KT, Raging Woody, Corey, Goldways, Music, Fire, Bat, E equals MC squared, Dimpleface, Church, Fire, Bat, Reparations Nation, Miss Nisi, RD, Brother Man to You, Sybil, The Informant Media, Jerome Davis, Wallow J. And that is it. Oh, let's see. Ronnie Smith just came in as well. Shout out to Ronnie Smith. And shout out to any and everyone else who's going to come in as well. Shout out to Soldier M. And D Money 2002. Shout out to you. Before we actually get into everything, that video that I posted this morning, the one about the 1350, man, the cope was real in the comments. That 1350 is like bees the honey. I had quite, I'm not gonna say so many, but I had quite a few of the usual suspects that were probably troll accounts coming over and trying to cope in my comments section about that 1350. They that's the thing, when you present facts in front of them, they will not let that shit just slide, especially if it's dealing with black people. They want that to be real so badly that they were coping in the comments and then trying to twist what I said into something else to make it seem like they were going to win a whole separate argument. It was one person in the comment section talking about, I don't know if this was such a good idea. I mean, you're talking about arrest. I mean, I know you're not talking about convictions, but the arrest don't make it any better. I'm like, sir, did you even watch the damn video? Probably not. Or you watched it to a certain point and didn't click off of it. Now, mind you, in the video, I had that screenshot up there the entire time. So they probably didn't even watch the whole thing, but they heard what they wanted to hear or saw what they wanted to see and decided that they were going to twerk up and down in my comments. One of them I ended up just straight up blocking. I even responded to it, but one of them I said, I'm gonna go ahead and respond to you. The last response that came under that particular post was from somebody else, maybe about 30 minutes ago, and the last comment they left was about 4 hours ago, after I replied to them the last time, and they haven't responded since. Like I said, they're gonna hold on to that lie. That's another reason why I like doing these deep dives, because I'm curious what them trolls gonna come out and say. Now, it was good up until this point, but this is the one right here that always gets them, is that 1350 thing. But trust and believe me, there will be more. But this evening, we're going to be talking about this person named Kyle Seraphin. Now, I came across, I forgot, I'm going to be honest with you. I forgot how I came across their particular post, but of course, this is piggybacking off of everything that's going on in DC right now. The deploying of the National Guard and all this, that, and the third. Well, this news, I would say this journalist site or piece named Potomac Press posted up a video on their page of black people, mainly black men, riding up and down the streets of DC on their ATVs and dirt bikes. So let me go ahead and share my screen right quick so you can see for yourself what I'm talking about. Hold on, y'all. Let me share the screen. So here it is right here. I'm gonna just play the video as I talk. There is no sound to this video, but it's just they're riding on the opposite side of the street on their dirt bikes. They look like they might be a part of a club of some sort. Now, let me tell you this. I don't know where any of y'all live at, but where I live at, I see this all the time. And if I don't see it, I hear it. And it's very prevalent in the summertime. And the thing is, and if you don't hear it or see it, you'll notice whenever if you like go out into a main street and you see a donut in the street. For those who don't know what a donut is, that's basically a circle made by the tires by a car or a dirt bike or maybe even an ATV in the middle of the street. It's typical when it comes to drag racing. This is basically called drag racing culture. So you have them on their dirt bikes. You have on the ATVs. Now, of course, the cars ain't out there. They come out when it's dark and everybody's inside. You really won't see a lot of people drag racing at this time of the day when it's too busy. But so you have this post right here that was shared by Kyle, and apparently he feels some type of way about this, because Kyle reposted it on his page on August 23rd, 2023, where he said, "Why are 40 plus teens and young men riding unregistered / non-street legal vehicles through DC during a quote unquote federal crackdown?" Already, he has deemed that these vehicles that they're driving are unregistered. How do you know they're unregistered? Oh, because they're black, they had to have gotten them illegally, or furthermore, they had to have stolen them. Because it's no way that these men could afford this on their own. There's no way that they could have paid for this on their own. And anything that they feel is somehow infringing on the comfortability of white folks, they feel is a danger to society, especially when it's black people. Because as you can see, it's mainly only black people that you see on these bikes and these ATVs. But let me go through some of the responses, because I'm going to tell you something. Kyle went on a multi-tweet rant about this one video as if it was somehow infringing on him. So this person says, "Don't quote me on this, but preliminary reports say it relates to something called having fun." Kyle replies back with, "We should all just do whatever we think is fun regardless of the laws. Okay, imagine how that plays out. Because I really like shooting at tires on dirt bikes and quads. It is this thing called quote unquote fun, and I appreciate your support." The fact that you even threw that out there as an idea is crazy. This next person says, "I just happened to notice that they are almost all exclusively brown." Then Kyle comes back and says, "Yes, this is a black male phenomenon." See, again, you got to look at the dog whistle language that's being used here and the trigger words that they're trying, the dog whistles that they're throwing out there. Like, oh my God, these black guys on these bikes, they're going to harm somebody. Mind you, these guys are not driving up on the sidewalk. They are not trying to run people over. And they're on the opposite side of the street. So it's not like they're running into other cars. They're not driving up on people's property. Again, black people having fun. This person right here says probably all stolen. Then Kyle comes back and says not probably. So he's already said in his mind that every last vehicle that y'all saw in that video was stolen. Now look at this BS right here. Kyle says, "I worked there for 5 years. I spent many a night watching this crap in Southeast and Anacostia, Suitland and Southern, MLK and Malcolm X. I can close my eyes and smell it." Now I'm going to ask, I don't know if anybody in the chat lives in the DMV area, but let me just tell you how ridiculous his post sounds when he said this. He says, "I spent many a night watching this crap in Southeast and Anacostia." Now, for anybody who doesn't know the geographical surroundings of DC, Southeast is a sector of DC. You have Southeast, Southwest, Northeast, and Northwest. Anacostia is in Southeast. So when he says Southeast and Anacostia already, I don't believe a word of what he said right there. He would have just said Southeast. Or he would have just said Anacostia, not Southeast and Anacostia. This is right up there with that BS that Benny Johnson was trying to say a couple weeks ago. Notice that ever since they decided to deploy the National Guard in DC, you have all these white guys coming out there with all their horror stories about the times that they felt terrified while living in DC for the little bit limited time that they were there, whether they were working there or they were visiting. Now they got to come out with all their Karen stories. This other person says, oh, I think you know who to blame. And then Kyle comes back and says, the black guy's doing it. Vincent says, how do you know their ages? To which Kyle replies with, because I used to work there and this is a common occurrence. How do you, what? Again, how do you know their ages? And you said, I used to work there. So you just know that all of them are teenagers. Because notice that's what he started off with. Someone else says, I wonder how many of those off-road recreational vehicles have been stolen from the surrounding suburbs. A great many, I suspect. Oh, so these black guys are just going into the suburbs and no one's finding out about it and they're just stealing all of these and nobody noticed a thing. And Kyle comes back and he says, all of them. Someone else says, riding in the opposing lane onto oncoming traffic, how is this allowed? And he says, black privilege. Someone else says, you sure they aren't legal? It says no headlights or blinkers. Yeah, not legal. Plus, I worked in DC for 5 years. So he's going to continue to go on and on and on about that. So that was the first post that he wrote. So now we're going to go over to this next post right here from Kyle. Someone said, is this Kyle Seraphin guy a liberal? He said, if so, that completely checks out how racist that comment was. He says they are such unintelligent, inconsistent, and unintentionally shitty people. So which Kyle reposted and replied with, if you say black men are the ones riding ATVs in DC, David Bowie, and he's replying to the person's name because that's what they're going by, decides you are a racist. I bet you he was probably one of the people that will pick up the phone and just start calling the cops for any old thing. And by the way, I don't know if I've told y'all this or not, but a few years ago, and I want to say this was probably before the pandemic. I want to say it was before that. In DC, well, I don't know if it was strictly for DC or maybe they made it as a national app. There was an app that they made where people could use if they saw something suspicious. Basically, it was an easier way for them to get in contact with their local PD in a faster way. They said they had got so many calls, mainly from white people, about some nonsense that wasn't even worth calling them for in such high volumes that the app literally had to shut down like probably a week or two after they created it because it became so overwhelming. I guess you could say probably like next door church. And I said, I said, where in DC was this app used in when I first found it, I said, where in DC was this app used in high volume? They said Georgetown. I said, figures. Georgetown is predominantly white. I think I said that in my video yesterday. For those who missed it, Georgetown is predominantly white. So when I heard that, I said, that's all I needed to hear. They basically abused the app so much to the fact that they shut it down because they weren't using it properly. They just knew that they could abuse it and they did. Let's go on to the next. Hold on, let me see something right quick. Someone sent me something. All right, let me share that. Let me go here. So here's again yet another post from Kyle. Again, he has like 4 posts on this one tweet. So let's start here where it all began at. So Kyle wrote, and this is in response to the other tweet that I read earlier. He said, amazing how white urban leftists think this is normal and okay. So he's upset that other white people are not on his side about what he's complaining about when it comes to black people on these ATVs and dirt bikes. Then he goes on to say, mobs, pay attention to the words, y'all. Mobs of 40 to 100 black teens and young black men ignoring traffic laws in major cities is a plague. You know what else is a plague, Kyle? These mass school shooters. Let's talk about it. At least no one lost their life. And let's also talk about other gangs like these biker gangs who have been known to get into violent altercations where there have been lives lost. Then he says nearly all of those vehicles are stolen. Many of the dudes are armed. I worked here for 5 years. He keeps wearing that I worked here for 5 years like it's a badge of honor. And he was responding to this person named Malik Abdul, who says, how is his initial description more relevant than the recent one? The former is focused on identifying the crime. The latter is focused on how white people should feel about black people riding in illegal ATVs. Then Kyle comes back up here and says, I'm tired of black men who know better pretending like black men between the ages of 15 and 40 aren't in all caps the biggest danger to their own community. He says Malik can't walk in the neighborhoods I worked in DC. He says you can't paint rational people with basic pattern recognition skills as, quote, racist in 2025. Someone says delusion leads to death, and then Kyle says bro spent his day race hustling my comments. That's basically what you was doing in your initial statement. How did you think that did you see? The thing is, Kyle thought everyone was going to be on his side. That's what it really is. That's what it boils down to. Kyle thought everybody was going to be on his side. Let me continue, y'all. So this next one was from me. I said, black people having fun is a stain on their existence. I may have to do a commentary on this. And here we are the following week. Because initially I was going to do it as a video, but I said it's a lot and I didn't feel like editing all of that stuff. So I said, let me just go ahead and do it in real time. And here we are. And then I got a lot of replies under there. So what I'm going to do now, and I'm glad that I remembered this because I ended up getting I ended up screenshotting a lot of things from Kyle. So let me go ahead and stop sharing the screen right quick so I can share this with y'all. Hold on, y'all. So I made sure to get some slides of some more altercations that Kyle put himself in that people was checking him on. I'm not going to go over this one because we went over that one. So this one right here is more of one of the conversations that he was involved in. Uh, Someone says the right to free travel, so long as you're not conducting commerce. If they aren't hurting anyone or holding anyone against their will, they are fine. You're just mad they are all out there together and coordinated. Now, if they start pulling guns and beating people, then yes, that is I'm guessing they're going to say a crime. It cut off right there. Kyle comes back and says, you have never seen what this group means in Washington, D.C., apparently. Let me know when you have some idea of what you just saw. To which this person came back and said, by the way, that's California every night, and that's normal. Everyone just lets them be. I mean, really, what are you going to do about it besides cry to the government? Because they are doing something you don't like. Actions are to be judged when they happen, not before. Then he says, I drive a 3/4 ton diesel, top diesel, I'm sorry. Quads don't clear my ranch land. So what the hell does that even mean? Who cares? So we got some more responses here. Someone says people from outside of DC think this is something brand new happening. To which Kyle replied with, yeah, I'm not from DC, but I worked there for 5 years. Because again, he loves the pedal that he worked in DC for 5 years. So he knows what he's talking about. He said, this is a group of criminals and scumbags. I spent many nights and early mornings in Southeast and Anacostia. Again, he's saying Southeast and Anacostia. Someone said Southeast and Anacostia. It's one and the same, and it literally is. Someone says, so scared for his life, he can't even get the area right. This one says, I just happen to notice that they are almost exclusively brown. And he says a black male phenomenon. Someone says, and for you, that is the real problem. Someone else says, you are making it a problem. I got to play the drop for that. I just on the fact of how he responded to that.
Listen. Fuck up. Get out.
The person says you, and for you, that is the problem. And then he says you are making it a problem. He said it is 2025 and your race scolding has no power here. But you were the one that literally made it about race. See how he tripped himself up? And he's so pissed off he doesn't even realize what he did. That's probably why the person didn't even respond to him after that. So what's the point of responding to this? What's the point of keeping that conversation going? He already tripped himself up. Someone else says, oh, I think you know who to blame. Oh, I already read through that one. Hold on, let me see. And that's pretty much it. I don't know why I had all these other ones. Those are the only two that I really wanted y'all to see, with these two. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over something interesting with y'all, because a lot of people don't realize that what Kyle is doing has historical tones to it. At one point in time, it was seen as illegal for Black people to have quote unquote fun or gather with each other. So I did a little bit of research on how all of this really played itself out. And before I actually get into all of that, let me give you two true stories. None of them involve me, but one of them does involve my dad, and another involves an actual story. So the one involving my dad, and he told me about this. He said this happened years ago when he was probably, I want to say maybe back in the 90s, probably in the early 90s. He said that he and some of his co-workers were on a break. And, you know, they just talking outside, you know, just shooting the breeze. And all of his co-workers that he was talking to happened to be Black, and all of them were men. It probably was maybe a group of about 4 or 5 of them. He said they just having casual conversation when all of a sudden this white guy came up and just injected himself into the conversation. And then after that, him and his co-workers just dispersed, like the conversation was over. Like, why did he inject himself there? Like, did he think that he was plotting on them? I will never forget when he told me that story. And some of you probably have those same type of stories as well. And if y'all come up to speak, I would love to hear them. The other story that happened a few years ago in New York, there was this gospel choir, and it was in the summertime. They was at church, and they were having choir rehearsal. Now, y'all know, and it was at a black church. Now, you know, black churches, they get down in that choir. They loud. But, you know, it was hot. So they had the doors open so they can get air. Because I don't know if the air wasn't working or whatever the case may be, but they had the doors open. So, you know, that's going to project the volume out further. That's going to project their voices out further. And it's going to project the sound of the instruments out further. Well, some Karen got upset about the noise from the church that she called the cops on the church. Now, of course, nothing happened. Like, no one got arrested. They didn't tell them to turn it down, anything like that. The cop was probably like, you called me out there for this? So now that I got through those two stories, let me go over the history of this. Because like I said, this, what Kyle is doing and the stories that I gave has historical tones to it. This is not, I just want to show that this is nothing new. So the first thing I wanted to go over was slave codes and restrictions on gatherings. During slavery, many southern states had slave codes forbidding enslaved Africans from gathering in groups without a white overseer present, even for parties, dances, or religious meetings. What story did I just tell you about my dad? Drumming and traditional African dances were banned in many places because they were feared to encourage rebellion or resistance. Number two, and Nini just mentioned it, black codes and Reconstruction era laws. After the Civil War, some southern states passed black codes that limited where black people could congregate, loiter, or celebrate. Vagrancy laws were used to arrest black people who were simply standing around or socializing, often forcing them into convict leasing systems. Number three, Jim Crow era segregation. Public recreation, beaches, pools, parks, amusement parks, theaters, etc., were either segregated or outright denied to black people. Sundown towns, which still exist, made it illegal or dangerous for black people to be outside after dark, which essentially outlawed nightlife and leisure for them in those areas. Policing of black music and dance. Jazz, blues, and later hip hop were often labeled as criminal or immoral. Police raided black clubs, house parties, and speakeasies far more aggressively than white establishments. Even the very act of dancing, like the Charleston and later twerking, was sometimes treated as indecent and policed more harshly when performed by black people. Now, the interesting part of it is by black people. So what you're trying to say is that if it was anybody else, it was accepted. And if you look at twerking, it was seen as a deviant type of dance for women to do. But the minute them white women got a hold of it, then it was just so trendy. It was so edgy. Number five, targeting of joyful gatherings. From the Red Summer of 1919, to the Tulsa Race Massacre of 1921, white mobs frequently attacked thriving black communities where people were celebrating, enjoying wealth, and living freely. And for those who are new to the channel, make sure y'all go and check out my Black Massacre series. Of course, those two events are in there, amongst so many others. Even into the Civil Rights era, police would break up black picnics, block parties, and concerts under the pretense of, quote, disturbing the peace. And number six, modern parallels. Today, scholars and activists argue that over policing of black barbecues, pool parties, block parties, and music events, even noise complaints, are remnants of this tradition, policing black joy as though it is a threat. Viral cases like Barbecue Becky back in 2018 show how simply existing in public spaces while black can still attract police intervention. So as y'all can see, what Kyle did has historic overtones to it, or undertones. That's why I said what he did was nothing new. If I had turned this video into, this live into a video, this would have been one of my deep dives. What I just read to you was going to be a part of that. So y'all just got a mini deep dive in real time for those who didn't know that last part. But I want to hear from y'all. So I'm going to put the link in the chat. And I want to see or hear what y'all have to say about this. So there's the link. Hold on, let me get my timer together. All right. First up, Wallow, what's going on?
What's going on, Torian? What's going on, everybody in the chat? Basically, all this dude remind me of y'all. You remember that episode on the Boondocks where we saw Uncle Ruckus' family, right?
Mm-hmm.
You remember his daddy used to stop the shit out of him for having fun and wanting to be something? That's basically what he's doing.
Yeah.
That's basically
they want us to be miserable.
Yeah, they can't stand us having fun, boy. We having fun with our women or the kids. We just, chill. And then the crazy part that what really messes them up in, oh, y'all want to come over here and come to party with us? Y'all come on over here. You have some fun. You know what I'm saying? You can drink, eat something. And they be like, damn, y'all, like, yeah, come on over. Like, it ain't nothing but a thing, bro. Like, we just chilling. We just vibing. Y'all come over here, shoot up the whole goddamn place. Like, nah, bro. Like, chill out, bro. They just having fun. Yeah, like, they doing something like, if obviously the city let them do it, why are you so much? If you got a problem with it, go to the city and say, hey, this is an issue, and raise hell and be like a king. That's basically what you need to do. Stop complaining online because they don't give a damn about you complaining online, sir. And I'll land with that.
Appreciate you coming up. And to add on to what Wallow was saying, like going back to what Kyle was saying, he's making a mountain out of a molehill. He's trying to turn it into something more than what it is, to try to speed up the process. Basically, he wants to see black people in this particular situation, black men, get manhandled, arrested, violently taken down, and all types of stuff. They take pleasure in seeing that. That's why in the video that I uploaded earlier today, that Tim Burchett guy, when he was saying about, oh, I'm looking at this imagery of all these white people out here protesting, but according to what I know, over 50% of DC is black or brown. They want to see us go out there because they want to see, they get off on seeing us be put in harm's way. And because we're not doing it, it's pissing them off. To which I say to black people, continue to do that. Jonathan, let me know when you're ready. Okay. What's going on?
What's going on, man? Man, what I heard from him was total bullshit. I don't believe, excuse my language, but I don't believe any of that. Working there for 5 years and he's seeing all that. Even if he worked in those environments in the past, what they gotta do with now? I don't like. Do you even have evidence? Why does it bother you? Because let's be honest, this is basically barbecue Becky type of stuff, cornerstone Carolyn or permit patty type of shit, that stuff that he was doing. and it's annoying. You know why they be doing stuff like this? Because it debunks everything they say about us. Like all we do is commit crimes and all this, kill each other, or like on black crime and all that. They're not good. They never get along. All this stuff that they say. So when they see that video of black people having fun, they have to make up some BS about how illegal it is what they're doing. When clearly it's nothing illegal, and every time they get educated, clearly they have someone educates them about it. They get in their feelings and fire back with some BS insults or whatever. It's just annoying because like they really just hate to be wrong. So that's why it's just people don't bother me. But I'm gonna let my plane right there before I get hit with the bus.
All right, appreciate you
I
coming
see
up.
you.
Wallow is so like Church just said, Wallow is cold in the chat. It's like as soon as I say Jonathan's name, Wallow goes and hit and he literally has his hand ready to hit the B. He always wants Jonathan to get the buzzer. But I think Jonathan's getting it now. He's like, I'm gonna get out of here before that actually happens. He's not trying to give Wallow the satisfaction of him hearing the buzzer while mid conversation. But speaking of Church, you are up next. What's going on?
What's up with you, family? I hope your day's going well. Wallow 14 times, man. Hey, that's dedication. Real quick, family. Shout out to the family in the chat. I say this all the time. One of the major reasons why they're like this whenever they see us having fun and minding our business and things like that, it's because of the fact that it reminds them, well, look, not even remind them. At that point in time, it shows them that we're not being as oppressed as they would like us to be. These folks, they feel like they've given up so much, especially as the poor dumb Nabisco. They feel like they've given up so much that they should never walk outside and see us having fun whatsoever, because we need to be oppressed every minute of the day, every second of the 24-hour day. We should be getting oppressed, and this is what they hold dear in their minds. So when they see our children having fun, they get angry. When they hear us singing praises and all this other stuff, they get angry, because all of that stuff makes them feel like I gave up free health care, I gave up free school, I wanted, housing could have been cheaper, and I had to remain racist to make sure none of those things, to make sure they got none of those things, but yet they're still running around here having fun, smiling. It's like when they did
us having fun is us persevering. Like we're not walking around depressed, and they don't like that. They can't stand to see the sight of that. You know what's so crazy is when they said about the part when I was reading about like the not dancing, it reminded me of the movie Footloose.
Mm-hmm.
That was the movie that came to mind, and I'm thinking like when I first saw that movie, I'm like, oh, this is just a movie. There's no way this could actually happen. But then when I researched it, it's like, damn, that was actually a thing, and it involved us.
Yep. It's the same thing that happened with when we had that trend going around, black men frolicking. For some reason, everybody had a problem with it in the Nabisco community. The women, the men, the children, they all had an issue with black men just running in the grass frolicking. Like that shows how much hatred they have for us. But I'm gonna drop before I get that buzzer. I ain't gonna give Wallow the satisfaction.
Yeah, you have a good one. Thanks for coming up,
family. Thank you.
Yeah. Church, you was within 30 seconds, but you got it. But yeah, I know exactly what Church is talking about. That frolicking video, and it was really like one of those things. If you blinked, you would have missed it. Because I think the one that I saw, it was at a wedding, and usually how they'll have the flower girl come down the aisle and she'll lay the flower down. Instead of them having the flower girl, they had this guy literally have this bucket. I don't know if it was a bucket, no, it was more like a basket of rose petals, and he was coming down the aisle and just kind of throwing them in, like not just laying them, but he was throwing, like Church said, he was frolicking, like jumping up in the air and throwing the petals everywhere. I thought it was actually kind of funny, but it was also different because I never saw something like that before. But I said, hey, that was something different. And you mainly saw black men. As a matter of fact, I think you only saw black men doing it. And I think I understand why they did it, because they wanted to show a different image of black men, because at that time they only show one type of imagery with black men, and they wanted to like kind of like push that bad imagery to the side. And like Church said, once PC got a hold of it, they had all kinds of shit that they had to say about it online. So like I said, our joy is their pain. Them seeing us have a good time literally is damn near gives them an aneurysm. We're supposed to perpetually always be in a state of misery when it comes to them. I don't know why, but before I even started this live, the song Enjoy Yourself by the Jacksons played in my head. If it wasn't for copyright, that would have been my intro song. If I was doing this live on, say, Rumble, that would have been the intro song. But it doesn't look like anybody else is coming up to speak to this topic. But shout out to everybody that did come up and speak, and everyone that came through for the live. Shout out to everybody who was able to make it to the live. If not, of course, shout out to the replay again. Y'all can go ahead and catch it. The next live will be on Thursday. Oh, and man, listen. Thursday live is going to be one for the books, because someone sent me something. Let's just say that we're going to take a trip to the past with this one. And I mean, probably back to our grandparents' time, and probably for those of us who, hold on, wait a minute. We got a late entry, y'all. We got a late entry.
Heed my command and reclaim these relics of hatred.
What's going on? He called me right in the middle of my spiel.
Well, if you don't mind, Brother Torian, good evening, family in the chat. May I give the benediction?
Go ahead.
FBA family, I pray sincerely for all of us. We are in the fight for our lives, but that cancels everything I just said. We got the victory because we are God's chosen people. And I land there. Love you, Torian.
Appreciate you coming up. Shout out to Miss Nisi. But yeah, like I was saying, the live that I had planned on Tuesday, let's just put it this way, y'all. For the first time ever, the live that I have on Tuesday is going to be split into two parts. You heard me correctly. I'm telling y'all this now. Of course, I'm going to have to say it again on Thursday. On Thursday. The live that I'm going to do on Thursday is going to be split into two parts. So basically, I'm going to be leaving y'all on a cliffhanger for the weekend. So on Thursday, when I go live and end it, the second part to that live will happen on that following Tuesday. So I hope y'all are ready. And I have to give a shout out to, I'm a shout her out again on Thursday, but I'm gonna have to give a shout out now to Lisa Cabrera, because she was the one that sent me this. And I said, when I got it, I said, that's an instant live. I'm definitely doing a live on this, but it's going to be one of those lives where it's kind of like a reaction style, but it's going to be to something that was around during maybe our grandparents, and for those of us in the chat who are old enough, our parents' time. So we're going to the past with this one. That's all I'm gonna say. We're going to the past with this one, and part one will be on Thursday, and part two will be on this file a week from today. So with that being said, we are about to get up out of here. Y'all enjoy the rest of your evening. 2 videos coming tomorrow. I'm gonna put those premiere windows up after this live is over, and that will be that. But y'all enjoy the rest of the evening. Be safe, and of course, most importantly, be one.